Are you ready, hero? Ready when you are.
Stay tuned for Burnaflick.
And welcome back to Burnaflick. I am Zach here with Jonah and M. And here we're talking about Watchmen.
Watchmen.
The Watchmen. Who watches The Watchmen?
That is a
Excellent.
question.
Excellent question.
We do.
We in fact watched The Watchmen. A total combined 2, 4, 6, 7.5 hours, I believe.
Yes?
Yes.
I didn't watch the director's cut. I thought we were doing the theatrical.
No, I'm talking about a combined 7.5
Oh,
hours.
Okay.
2.5 for me, 2.5 for you, 2.5 for you. I'm pretty sure I mathed correctly there.
Yeah, it's about 2.5.
So this movie was directed by Zac Snyder, came out in 2009, well before the triumphant rise of superhero or comic
It
book.
was right at the cusp.
It was right
Like,
there.
Iron Man came out the other year.
But before we saw like a really big uptick on people wanting to see these
I
type of
think
over-the-top things.
the whole superhero kind of kicked off in 2012.
Absolutely.
With Avengers.
That's where I think that's where they really saw
Yeah.
it was a viable thing. Now, of course, this movie,
Yeah.
Watchmen, is like when I first watched it, I was like, this is really amazing. And then I would watch it over and over again when I was like maybe
Yeah.
13, 14 years old, 15 maybe. I watched it so many times that I almost felt like I didn't have to watch it this time.
Mhm.
But then I rewatched it. I'm like, you know what? I can see the differences in CGI now compared to then. Even then, but even then, it was still
Yeah.
really good.
I wanna ask you guys something, and this is a segue. So, what'd you guys think of The Dark Knight and the ending of The Dark Knight?
Like 2008 Dark Knight.
2008 Dark Knight.
Sorry, I know there's a difference. Well, there is obviously a difference. What I think about
2008 Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's second Batman movie. 2008 Dark Knight. The ending.
the ending,
The ending.
like where everyone's turning on him.
After Harvey is dead, and then
And-
he says the iconic lines like you'll chase after me, like, and all that stuff, and like I killed those cops, and then Gordon goes, he says the iconic speech like, oh, he's a Dark Knight.
Yeah,
And that ending, like,
The-
what you guys, how do you guys feel about that ending? The first time you walked out of the theater watching that movie.
well, the first time I walked out of theater watching the movie, I didn't actually understand the concept because I was like
Okay.
younger.
Oh, that's true.
But
Yeah.
if you're talking about the first time ever watching the movie and really, really understanding, everything,
Yeah.
I will say that when I first got that concept down, I understood.
Yeah.
Just like Dr. Manhattan will say, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
By all accounts, because it does make sense. Because he's just a mask. Like his real, even though we all know that Batman's identity is Batman, his alter ego, his secret identity is Bruce Wayne. We
Yeah.
know that he is sacrificing this real part of him
Yeah.
for the betterment and the goodness of Gotham.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree, even though I understand as a viewer that it's wrong in many ways because he doesn't deserve the hate. He doesn't deserve to be punished or chased.
Okay. Well, do you have an opinion on, or like, what were your general thoughts about the ending of The Dark Knight? I swear to God, this ties in with Watchmen.
Yes,
It does.
I think when I first saw it, when I first saw it, I was definitely confused
Yeah.
because I mean, as a kid, I'm thinking, Batman just saved Gordon and his wife
Yeah.
and his kid, and now he's gonna take the
Yeah.
bad rep. Looking back on it, watching it again, I get it,
Yeah.
but also, like, I could see where Rorschach would think that's like,
Yeah.
fuck Two-Face.
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
This house is bullshit.
Yeah. So the reason I brought that up is because I didn't 100% realize how similar those endings are,
Mm-hmm.
Watchmen and The Dark Knight. Because in both movies, a choice is made to uphold a lie for the greater good. And obviously, in terms of numbers, like in Watchmen, you're dealing with like millions. In Batman and The Dark Knight, you're dealing with like a handful of cops that died, um, among other people. So the scale's different, but I think the principle's the same. You have a lie, and in the plot, the lie is upheld to maintain order, to maintain peace. And in The Dark Knight, um, it's almost a triumphant conclusion. Because when I first watched The Dark Knight and got to a point where I understood it, I thought it was so badass. I thought the ending was badass. I thought he was like a
This is
real hero.
This is the birth, the actual birth,
Yeah,
or the renaissance of Batman itself.
yeah, and it's interesting that I feel that way towards The Dark Knight when essentially, in principle, the same thing happens in Watchmen with Ozymandias. He also upholds a lie for the greater good. Um, but I think in that sense, uh, like Watchmen, maybe not so much the movie, but the original comic, the original graphic novel, it was so ahead of its time. Like it was so interesting with how complex morally it is, because Rorschach does not accept. Yeah, I just thought that was really interesting.
Never accept compromise, even in the face of Armageddon, quote unquote.
So he would have exposed Harvey Dent.
He would have.
Yeah. And he
100%.
probably would have killed Batman too. Yeah.
If you look at like his skills, even as like a 5'3" dude,
Yeah.
he would have murked everybody if he had like the even more equipped.
Yeah.
You know, with things he needed. I guess.
Rorschach with Bruce Wayne money. That's a scary.
Or in this case, Adrian Veidt money.
Oh yeah, Adrian. But yeah.
There's so many. So why I say this movie is so quotable. There's so many great, because it's not just a movie. Because again, I say this movie is like 99.9% accurate.
Yeah, no,
If
it's.
you ever read, I don't know if you read the graphic novel.
I read the graphic novel before I watched this.
Okay,
movie.
good.
Yeah.
I think it's accurate, like extremely accurate. But I think there's a few things they
leave out some stuff.
Yeah.
But in the director's cut, they bring it all back except for the ending, of course.
They also don't do. I mean, I think it's better that they didn't go with the alien route. But I think it makes more sense the way they did it visually. This movie came out during the time when like dark and gritty was like the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because like Dark Knight came out a year before, and like everyone's doing dark and gritty, and this movie's color palette kind of matches that, but it's not too dreary. This movie has so much fucking style.
Yes.
Like it and the way that they choose to, like, Zac Snyder chooses to do slow-mo, like he's so good at slow-mo. Oh my god. Like it's so good. It's a visual feast.
It's put in the right positions, but not too, not
and it's slowed down at like the most interesting times. And I didn't even give a shit about the CGI. Like some of the CGI, you're right. It does, like especially the little owl ship thing. Like that looks super fake 99% of the time, but it didn't really bother. I don't think it takes away from the movie
because the movie, the color alone helped it blend way better.
Also true, yeah.
That's why, like, I guess when I'm not saying I have a trained eye when I'm watching CGI movies, but you watch enough, you can see differences in a lot of them.
Yeah,
you can see the ones that really go all out and do really well with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see something like that and you go to another one that doesn't go at that level, you can see it's very noticeable. It's like changing your settings on a TV.
Yeah,
it's extremely noticeable.
Yeah,
but it didn't bother me either. Even when I finally realized it, this first time rewatching in a little bit, is when I finally decided to be critical.
Mm.
And even then, I couldn't really figure out a lot of things to critique about it.
I think I disliked the movie a lot more the first time I watched it. And I think the reason I did that is because I had just watched The Dark Knight. So I watched The Dark Knight like a couple months ago. And this movie came out in like January. And like
Mhm.
it's not really the case these days. It might be, but like back in the day, January was the time period when all the shitty movies would come out. And I just kind of thought that this is going to be like a shitty superhero movie that's like riding on the backs of like the Dark Knight grittiness.
Yeah.
And then
Is
and
that
then
because they do put it out there so they don't have to contend?
I don't know. I don't know the reason. I really don't.
Possibly. So, riding on the coattails of the Dark Knight, um,
I like it says.
on the cape tails of the Dark Knight.
Okay.
Pardon. My dad
Mhm.
took me and my brother to see this in theaters.
Yeah.
The Watchmen, and this was the first. This is the first rated R movie I saw in theaters,
Oh wow.
and it was the first movie with a sex scene that I saw with my dad that was uncensored. So super awkward.
yeah.
I can imagine you covering your eyes. Your dad's like, "No."
It's time.
You're a man now.
Yeah. It was kind of like, I don't know how I felt about the movie the first time I watched it because of
How old were you guys during
Oh.
this time?
2009. That was what, 12, 13 years ago? I can't do math right now.
mental math's
I
hard.
don't know. 10 years ago was
14 years ago. It's 14 years ago.
Okay.
14 years ago, I am 26. I was 12.
Oh wow.
Actually, as a matter of fact, I was 11 because this is early
I was
2009.
13.
Interesting. Wow.
So,
Yeah, I was in middle school. I was like 7th or 8th grade.
but granted, I didn't watch it when it came out in theaters. I watched it. I remember
Oh, okay.
it
Yeah.
came out when we had like on-demand stuff, and
Yeah.
it was free on demand like 2 years later.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, snuck it and watched it. I was like,
Nice.
this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Again, didn't really understand the concept. I could understand the violence. I can
Yeah.
understand the color that
Mhm.
really popped out. I can understand a lot of the it. I didn't really get the words. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't get the
But like you caught the vibe.
yeah. I caught the
You
vibe.
caught the style.
I may not have understood the what's the philosophy,
Yeah.
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 but once I got older, right before joining the Navy,
Yeah.
and rewatching the movie when I was like 18, 19,
Mhm.
it spoke to me.
Yeah.
A lot of these things, like, it makes sense. Like when you say it's ahead of its time, it truly is. When in the comics, at least in the graphic novel,
Yeah.
the movie itself is not ahead of its time.
I don't think the movie is. I think
Yeah.
the graphic novel is
But-
certainly.
but the dialogue still stands.
You guys can say comic book.
Yeah. Some people don't like that.
Well,
Yeah.
the whole thing with like comic book or graphic novel. I mean, technically it is, but it's kind of like a
A comic book looks like a comic book. A graphic novel looks like a book.
well,
I think-
graphic novel is another word to sell comic books.
Suppose
Like-
that's true.
And it's like if people feel insecure about reading comic books, like I don't read comic books, I read graphic novels.
No, I do think there is some important distinction because like a graphic novel is longer than a single issue comic book. Because when you think of comic book, you think of like short issue, like
I-
less than 50 pages.
Yes and no,
Right?
But there's
One is-
also there's volumes and compendiums and everything else, and also what the author
Yeah.
deems comic book or graphic novel.
Mm.
Alan Moore, the author of The Watchmen,
Mhm.
is a firm believer in he doesn't write graphic novels; he writes comic books.
Oh well, all right.
And
The
he
man said
also hates adaptations. Hates them. Absolutely hates them.
Yeah.
He puts out the source material and that's it. Final, nothing else. And anything else that gets put out, it's wrong.
You know what?
Just like Rorschach, no compromise.
Yeah.
I, regardless of that, I'm still grateful
Yeah.
for the fact that he made this. You know,
Zac
because
Snyder or
Alan Moore.
Alan Moore.
Oh, yeah.
I'm grateful because it speaks volumes. Like, I'm not saying it has any overall, not purpose, but
Yeah.
or story you're trying, or not trying to really explain. I don't know if it's trying to really explain anything. It's just gritty and entertaining.
Mm.
Well, no, I think Alan Moore would say that Watchmen has philosophical value. I think he would say that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I would say that. I'm pretty sure he would say
He-
that. Yeah.
Most of his comics and most of his runs have a deeper meaning than just the surface value of whatever character he's writing about. Whether it's
Yeah.
Watchmen, he also did Swamp Thing, which
Yeah.
is a little swamp monster, and
Okay.
when he took over the character, it became like a deeper thing than just a swamp monster. And there's like several other things. Like he did the Batman the Killing Joke,
Okay.
which is a big story arc.
That's the one where Robin dies.
Yeah.
It's the no,
No, that's when
Death in Families. The Killing Joke is when
it's the origin of
Barbara-
Joker.
Barbara dies.
Barbara dies.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, she doesn't die. She becomes
Gets
paralyzed.
paraplegic?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I learned actually while reading more into it, because I've always just been a fan of the comic and the movie,
Yeah.
but I never knew that it's a 12-issue release throughout the entire year. So
Mm.
each issue is actually you're supposed to read in between reading the main comic.
Okay.
It's because like each storyline, then it goes, you read an issue
Mhm.
in between reading it, so you can see expanded parts of the story to see more, like on
Yeah.
certain characters that were referenced
Mhm.
in the comic or in the comic alone. Then you can read about that, like
Okay.
Captain Axis or Silhouette.
Moloch.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's why I want to. I'm thinking about buying them. I want to have that collection. I want to do more and support it more, because this has always been something I really loved.
Yeah. Who owns Watchmen? Who?
DC
DC owns it.
DC. Yep.
Oh.
There's
DC.
actually
Detective Comics. I didn't know.
during
Mm.
the opening credits.
Yeah.
I think it was the first Night Owl. He was like punching some dude in the face or something, and his gun
Yeah.
was going off.
Oh, okay.
And like the slow mo opening
I
credits,
love the opening.
where it's like showing
credits.
like the time change between
I love
everything.
it.
Behind him was like a brick wall, and on there was a bunch of posters, and those posters had Batman #1.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Him and Robin swinging.
This movie opens like I love the beginning of this movie. I love it so much. The whole fight scene with the comedian and our mystery killer, and then that whole credit sequence where it goes through the time. I think it's so stylistically interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, they're almost like stills, like you just said.
Yeah.
But then as time goes on, it becomes into like regular like motion picture style. Yeah, I thought that was so cool. I always thought that was cool. I think the movie has trouble with pacing. I think it does. There are some parts of it where I don't think they needed. I'm mostly thinking about like the parts with Dr. Manhattan and Malin Ackerman. What's her name? Jupiter.
Silk Spectre 2
Silk Spectre 2.
or Laurie.
I think Laurie. Yeah, I think it's. I don't know. I just feel like the movie really slowed down there. I feel like the movie really slowed down between Laurie and Patrick Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Night Owl. Dan Driver or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The movie really slows down there. Like I'm more interested in Rorschach and like the random shit that he's going through and like the way he thinks and the way he talks. Yeah.
I want to get once we talk more about the characters in particular.
Mhm.
I can't wait to get to Rorschach and talk about his not development, but the different sides of him.
You can tell that Rorschach is the voice of Alan Moore. Like you can tell.
Mm.
Like it feels like the movie and also the graphic novel seems to portray Rorschach's inner monologue as an indictment on the world, and Alan Moore's, I guess, view of the world or view of a world where like this thing happens.
Yeah.
Where like Nixon is reelected 4 or 5 times, and where like the United States won the Vietnam War, and where all this stuff happens in that world, Alan Moore is condemning it through Rorschach's voice.
Yeah.
That said, the movie is the movie and the graphic novel. It's dated in the
Yeah.
sense that I think there is. The movie just hates women. it just hates women.
Yeah. But also, I think that's like
and like
makes it a little bit dated too.
yeah, yeah. I don't think they should have changed it. I don't think so, because then I think that would have neutered a bit what Alan Moore created. Because if you go in the graphic novel, like the graphic novel also hates women. But
Yeah, like we said
Yeah.
at the beginning, it's like almost 99% comic accurate, and there's like
Yeah.
a few things they missed out.
yeah,
But
Tales of the Black Freighter, they didn't really do anything with that.
that Captain, was it Captain Metropolis or there's some
Captain Axis.
Well,
no, that was a
that's
bad
the
guy.
bad guy.
yeah, it's a
Bad
bad
guy.
guy. Captain Metropolis was the
Mhm.
original, like leader of like their crew.
Yeah.
Of the
of
Minutemen?
of the Watchmen,
Of the Watchmen.
and
Okay.
they just changed it to Ozzy. To I think probably because Captain Metropolis was not needed.
Yeah. He even mentioned that he changed his name when he became Ozymandias.
Mm.
I guess because he realized what his true calling was early on in his life when he figured out
Mhm.
what his power is. I looked up specifically,
Yeah.
why how these characters, all the heroes are just all brutally strong, even without superpowers,
Yeah.
right? It's a comic movie, I get it, but like, I looked up why is Ozymandias so strong? It's because of his years fighting. He grew stronger skin and muscle formation, like making it seem more
Like cows.
more superhuman in a way.
Yeah.
They all were, like,
Catches a bullet.
yeah, it's literally, but he's still bleeding, right?
Yeah.
He's still human. I like the origins stories, like backstories on. I think it was about 2 of the characters. 2 of them. It was Dr. Manhattan.
I think his origin story was really interesting.
Yes. And then Rorschach's.
Yeah.
Rorschach, of course, he's not a hero.
Oh, with the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's quite literally, and it's very, very apparent that he's an anti-hero. He's
Mhm.
not a hero. And I'm pretty sure Alan Moore would agree that he's not a hero. He's an anti-hero. He's only for what fits his moral judgment
Yeah.
specifically, right? Because he's still killing people. He still will kill people as long as it fits the punishment,
Yeah.
or fits the crime. Sorry, like, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself here. What comes first? I'm pretty sure what comes first is Dr. Manhattan's origin story.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right? That whole sequence, like you said, it's really good. It's very vibrant and it explains a lot.
Yeah.
Like how he starts. It's not just like it's a
I
narration.
really like the way when he's inside the room where he's about to get fucking zapped, and like the clock is ticking by, and with each second that ticks by, it goes to a different point in his life, a
Mhm.
different time. And I think that's part of the reason why he's so interesting, because Dr. Manhattan, he experiences time differently from everyone else.
Mhm.
And showing the countdown to him getting zapped, and a scene when he first meets his physicist lady, and another scene showing when he's building a watch with his dad, and just jumping in time as the clock is going to midnight and he gets zapped. I thought that was so good.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that was his doomsday,
Yeah.
right? And they're talking about the doomsday clock and how watches mean something to him. I think the idea is that when he learned the fact that he learned how to, he talked about how watches were so intricate, and how he learned how to
Yeah.
put one together is also how he helped himself put himself back together, right? Because he was able to understand how to fit his pieces together like a watch would.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't.
Does Does that make sense?
I didn't think of it till you just said it,
Yeah.
and I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Right? Because like the way he learned to do that, he had to learn how to bring himself back
yeah,
because he wasn't ready, or
Mm.
he knew there was more to it. I mean,
yeah.
can you imagine if like wait a second, this happened to this one guy, and then we know about how it happened. How the hell we have not tried it for more people or something? You know, he his quotes. Remember when he was at the show? He was on live television before everything out. People said, um, when they asked him, like, "What do you believe? Do you think the doomsday clock is true? Do you believe that we're close to nuclear war?" And then he would say something. I imagine a doomsday clock to be as helpful as a photograph of oxygen to a drowning man.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's philosophy. Like obviously, but
Yeah.
it's like
I
fuck. He like has a point. He's like, he's so far away from humanity and their fear
yeah.
that in his eyes it makes no difference.
I do think Adrian had a good point when it came to Dr. Manhattan, because Adrian did say that Dr. Manhattan, he has this persona of being aloof, of being like godlike, like thinking in different ways beyond, and he definitely does. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but Adrian did tap into something interesting when he said that he was able to see small twitches in his face that belied human emotion.
He's
So I don't think Dr. Manhattan is as uh on a quote unquote on another level as he may think he is. And the fact that his response to difficulty is consistently to just run away, I think that kind of proves he's a little immature,
yeah.
regardless of how aloof he may feel or think he is. That's pretty much all he does in the movie. He just runs away. And in the final
Yeah.
scene, like he's like, this is fucked. I'm running away.
Oh yeah, rather than talking to Rorschach when he knows he can easily conversate while doing his job and
Yeah.
work, he's like, "Go away from me. I don't want to actually talk about this."
Yeah.
Maybe because he doesn't know how to talk about it properly.
He's actually, compared to the other like Watchmen, he is like the most fucking childlike, I think. He's like a child with godlike powers.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I just like the entirety of his. I want to just say like where in the scene where it makes it feel like he has transcended is when he thinks about to die
Yeah.
in the intrinsic field center,
Mhm.
and he says, "I feel fear for the last time."
Yeah.
It's I always thought like, is it because he's looking back at it then
See,
and
that's-
thinking, and then in himself now, he knows that he will never feel fear, or was it because when he was dying he thought he was just going to die, and then he knew that was his last time?
I think that's a great line, and I think it can mean both.
Right?
Because he is actually narrating.
Yes.
He's narrating his past, right?
Mhm.
But for him, narrating his past is literally the same thing as telling people what's happening now,
Right.
because he experiences time
All
like,
simultaneously.
pretty much.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
he because he does state that. Now where I was going with this? Oh, he does mention the fact that his original character was John Osterman. That
Yeah.
wasn't. That's not who he is, though.
Mm,
He even said it didn't like. He talks about John Osterman as if it was a completely different person,
yeah.
because it really isn't, though, because the fact that he even says that he put himself back together.
Yeah.
He has, in his own mind, like you said, he's almost childish.
Mhm.
Maybe he really does think that he is a god, but doesn't want to flaunt it.
Mm,
But in his eyes, he just states that he is, and then realizes I just can't be that same person anymore because I'm not. That's not the life I have anymore.
yeah.
It died when that body, was obliterated.
Mm,
Even though I put my particles back together again, him talking about a dead body is the exact same thing as a living body.
yeah.
There's no actual difference between the two.
Structurally, they're the same.
Yes. So he is the same structure,
Yeah.
but not the same person.
I think there's a little bit of edgelordiness in there.
He's
Like
trying to be edgy.
he's like, yeah, dead bodies and living bodies, they're the same.
This-
That's how badass I am.
the emo
But,
hair
like,
in the eye.
But when you really think about what he's saying, I'm just like, you're stupid. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. But yeah, no, his lines are really, really interesting. And the movie, like I said, the movie has so much style. It has so much style to the point where I had so much more fun watching this time around than the first time I watched it. And I do think I had some time in between to think about the movie. And I'm not as like emotionally connected to the graphic novel now than I was before. So like now I don't care that it's not exactly the same or um so but what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say because of how much fun I had, I think I forgave some of the more um nonsensical scenes that just exist for no reason. Like when Rorschach is in the prison and they're trying to cut him out to like kill him, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then that one fat dude gets his arm stuck because Rorschach is holding them, and like the other guy's like, "Well, I guess I have to cut your arms off." Like
They didn't really think that long about it.
like
either.
there was no deliberation whatsoever,
Yeah,
and
It was a rag. He used a rag. Just
yeah,
pull it. Yeah.
just yeah, I didn't that also I think one of the first date scenes between Malin Ackerman and Patrick Wilson, they're in the alley and then these like gangbangers just show up and like I think the movie was like, all right, we need a cool fight scene, so let's just like throw
That's
these
in the comic.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That and the arm cutting off scene.
Yeah, there's
the
not
comic.
much they didn't leave out. There was
They
a
probably
few.
should have left those out.
There was a few things like Rorschach in the comic. He went back to like Moloch's place like 3 or 4 times. In the movie, he only went back twice.
Yeah.
Or I guess he only went
Once.
there twice.
Yeah.
He went back once.
I don't think I think yeah. I mean it was cool. It also didn't make sense that like when they're I don't I'm just not interested in like random violence anymore. Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, this day and age, you see it all the time. You see it all the time in films and TV. They always like to
Yeah.
go all out with it.
I don't really know. I can't really put my finger on it.
Where do you think the world's going to go to when everyone's doesn't want to see it anymore?
That's the other thing. Like this movie is like it's like very similar to The Dark Knight in terms of like ideology. Because it really plays maybe not Dark Knight. It's more similar to Batman Begins. Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises. Not really Dark Knight. In that all three of those movies, Watchmen, Batman Begins, and Dark Knight Rises, they all seem to suggest that human beings by nature are just fucking rotten. And like when left to their own devices, they'll just destroy each other. Dark Knight tries to say that, like that's what Joker tries to say, but then Batman proves him wrong when those two like people on the boat like they refuse to blow each other up. So that kind of proves Joker wrong. But Dark Knight Rises, like there's like chaos in the streets. And in Batman Begins, like the city's just like fucking. And in Watchmen, this entire world is like completely morally bereft. And I think,
Well, it is like an alternate reality of the 80s too, right?
yeah,
Like it's during the Cold War still, and everything going on with the Soviet Union is the same except in America. You know,
I do think it's a product of its time, just because the comic was written during that time. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember enough about the comic to know if it was like, kind of doing it as like you know how like Wolf of Wall Street both glorifies and makes fun of capitalism.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's happening in The Watchmen, where it both glorifies and also makes fun of like conservative paranoia.
I think that's the whole
Yeah.
joke.
Because I think
That's the
I
comedian.
don't think the movie is making fun of conservative paranoia. I think the movie is glorifying conservative, like be afraid of criminals, like be afraid of like the city, like be afraid because all these people they're out to get you, and be afraid of walking in an alley because gangbangers will just come up on you, like on cue,
Be afraid of the
right?
people you work with because they will rape you.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't remember if the comic was like that. Comic was definitely that. I don't know if it had an element of making fun of or because Wolf of Wall Street makes fun of capitalism. I think a lot of people like miss that. They just see the glorification and they just think, oh, Jordan Belfort, he's so awesome, and that's like their takeaway from Wolf of Wall Street.
So those are the same people that think like Patrick Bateman is
Are
someone
cool-
to look-
is cool, yeah.
is cool. So
Okay, that's true. I guess. That's part of the reason why I don't really feel this movie for me. I think philosophically I just don't agree with it. However, stylistically excellent. Oh my god. So much fun to watch. Yeah. Where was I going with this? Sorry.
I don't know. I mean,
I think I wanted to talk about it philosophically. Like its ideology. And like why it I guess bothers me, why I don't fuck with it. Yeah, I don't really fuck with it.
there is also the concept of not every piece of literature has to actually have a meaning. It just could be
But
purely for entertainment,
I don't think
but while also sounding stylish.
I don't think Alan Moore I think Alan Moore is very serious about his work.
I'm sure.
And like I don't think in his eyes and I don't think Watchmen is like something that's purely entertaining. I think there's a lot of philosophical value in it.
I agree.
And I think it does take itself seriously philosophically.
yeah,
I don't know if the movie does though. I think the movie tries to. I I haven't read the graphic novel in so long,
What-
so like it's hard for me to compare.
I think Alan Moore
Yeah,
wrote a pretty deep. Well, I don't know about deep, but he wrote a different take on a faction of like superhero, like a superhero group
yeah,
in a time period that was like filled with turmoil and didn't make it super campy.
yeah.
And I think that's what made it like stand out and really like be different.
It's the boys before the boys.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
It's the boys before the boys, but I think the way the boys happen, the author of the boys wanted to make a satire of the superhero genre,
Mm.
and I think the issue with that is, he's a terrible artist and writer, and he probably
yeah, that'll
could've-
do it.
yeah, he probably could have gotten a better product if he would have just written something that wasn't superhero related
Yeah,
and gotten his point across the same way with saying like, oh, here's a comic book that is not revolved around superheroes.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Because there's a lot of like comics and graphic novels out there that don't revolve around comic book heroes.
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
I think a good one is Sandman. Sandman
Oh, yeah,
comics.
yeah.
I mean, he's Morpheus, God of Dreams. There's like superhero elements to it. It is still like a DC property.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he kind of just goes on adventures and goes into people's dreams.
Have you seen
It's-
Sandman?
Yeah, I watched the first season.
I loved it.
Yeah,
Is the second season out?
It's
Or
coming.
It's coming out.
It's
yeah.
coming. But
oh,
the,
don't worry, I'm tracking.
the comics are like it's like artwork. It's really nice. It's like super chill. And you're not like watching fight scenes every other panel.
Yeah.
And even in
Well-
the series,
I don't want to say that like that's how Watchmen was. Because I think from what I remember, the graphic novel, like the fight scenes were not center stage. Center stage for me was really Rorschach just musing on the shittiness of humanity and the city, and just how like cool the dialogue is. Like the dialogue's so cool.
That was actually
yeah.
when I rewatched it last night. That actually turned me off. I think it's because it's just.
But in 2009, that shit was cool.
Oh no, it was. Don't get me wrong. In 2009, that shit was like. Oh,
yeah, no,
fuck
but yeah, today,
I just thought it's like.
The city screams like an avatar full of retarded children.
yeah.
Ciara was in the room when he said that. I'm like, yeah, it's a different time. Different time. Calm down.
Oh, and like when he said that, like, who's the the Minuteman woman who was a lesbian? Well,
Silhouette.
Like, yeah, because he was saying how like all these Minutemen like they died, and then Silhouette like they died because of this and that, and then like Silhouette died because she was immoral, and it's just her and like with another woman. I'm like,
not just any other woman, but the famous woman from the ending of World War II picture of the, if you saw in the opening credits.
Oh no, I was thinking about like her like crime scene dead body.
Well, that was it. That was after the aftermath.
Oh, was that the same chick?
woman? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, that's I think they wanted to reference like, hey, she found this chick.
Yeah.
It banged out, and then you see in the background people are looking at her funny.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah, there are people in the photo in the background. That just
I definitely recognize that video was like of the sailor kissing that woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the sailor in the background. I saw that guy.
He's like, I'm gonna keep.
Damn, in another universe, dude, it would have been you.
Damn, you're the unlucky one. That's crazy.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna say. So I really like what you brought up about that. How the boys, kind of does something similar.
Yeah.
And I think what you said with the boys making fun of superheroes.
Yeah.
Watchmen, I don't think it makes fun of superheroes. I think Watchmen judges superheroes. So I think with the boys, there's not a sincerity that exists with the Watchmen. Because the Watchmen has deep sincerity rooted in like wanting to enact justice, vengeance on injustice. Like there is that sincerity that exists, and it hates the campy superhero fucking goody two shoes la di da. It hates that. It wants to judge that. It wants to fucking put it in the ground.
Yeah.
The boys is not there to judge. It's there just to make fun of.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, philosophically, the boys fall short compared to Watchmen. I think Watchmen, has more integrity philosophically for that reason, which I didn't think about till you mentioned that. That's yeah.
And that, I don't think that's too. I think the adaptation of the TV show is different from the comics. I understand why you like the TV show because if anything, I think that's more like a Deadpool.
Yeah,
a little bit of that Deadpool energy.
And I don't because like the comics, like I said, are just fucking trash. They're so bad.
Oh, really?
They're so.
I haven't read a comic, but I've seen the art style, and I don't like it either.
It looks like something that you would see on like a web comic that some amateur artist put out.
Well, that's why I've read backgrounds of the show, and the show is like super different than the comics. They really they understand. I think the concept really goes, they're making fun of superheroes, but they're also making fun of business. They're making fun of politics.
Oh yeah.
They're making fun of all of that. They're trying to tear down the concept that politicians are just like these overpowered beings. And then they have these people, the things that to represent the everyday working man doesn't want these politicians and these big business to take over the lives and have to be afraid of them. That's the I know that's.
I didn't get that far. I only watched like 3 episodes, so I didn't get that far.
Because it's like
the comics are like if like an angsty high schooler, had an art project and then it flourished into a whole comic book series.
And then got picked up by Amazon Studios.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
It's a lot of e-comics these days. A lot of them get turned into something. I know. I can't think of the last one I know of that got turned into.
I know One Punch Man started out as
there we
a
go.
comic.
There's one.
It actually didn't start out as like a paper manga.
Some
yeah.
comics are good, but man, there's a lot of bad ones.
I don't really read comics. I see like some of them on Reddit, but like I don't really follow any of them.
It's like when somebody decides they want to start writing, and then instead of proofreading and then rewriting, they just put it out on the internet.
Yeah,
I mean, why not?
I mean,
That's true.
Yeah.
some people get a following, and then some people don't.
Yeah, that's true. Like if you find people who like it as it is, that makes less work for you.
Yeah. I do want to say, Silk Spectre too, like the camera loves her. she's really hot in this. And yeah. Also, I don't know if I fully am on board with the choice of music for their sex scene.
Oh, hallelujah!
Yeah.
No,
I never felt it either. I just remember
yeah.
like rewinding it because I didn't have the internet.
yeah. Yeah. No, I've been there.
no, it still makes me like feel awkward.
Oh, really? Just
Still,
remember
it still
that
makes
time
me
with your
feel
dad.
awkward. It's just,
the I believe button with the fire to
Yeah.
symbolize.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
hey, talking about awkward. I like how in every scene, Dr. Manhattan is just hanging dong. However, when he's zapping Viet Cong, he is modestly covered.
yeah, he's in
Yeah.
spandex.
I just thought that was a weird choice. Like, you're like
Well,
murking dudes.
in the comics,
why not hang dong in that moment?
Yeah, that's like even more fucked up.
Yeah.
Not only are you murdering thousands of people in the name of capitalism and
Yes.
democracy,
In the name of Nixon.
you're just slapping your dick all over the ground.
I think it would have been pretty cool
Yeah.
if he just showed up to the comedian's funeral, just like that too. Like, I'm not changing for no one. I'm doing what makes me comfortable.
Yeah, that's what Rorschach would have done.
Yeah.
I like how, like, when they're in Antarctica and then Rorschach is clearly freezing and then Night Owl's like, hey, do you want, like, a jacket? And he's like, no, I'm good.
Fine like this. He doesn't actually like how his words. He doesn't. It's like he doesn't know proper English.
No, yeah, the way
Yeah.
he talks, it's like his sentences are abbreviated and he only chooses, like, he leaves out words like the
And
like,
I
yeah.
and they
Yeah.
and then Miss Jupiter, or he'll speak to somebody talking about them
Yeah.
like almost in second person in a way.
Mhm.
You know what I didn't catch the first time I watched this movie? There is a brief moment when they come back, Rorschach and Night Owl. I don't exactly remember like after what scene, but they come back and they exit his
Oh,
his
I know you're talking
Night
about.
Owl like little spaceship, and then Rorschach tells Night Owl like he gets mad at him for something, and then he tells Night Owl, "Hey, I know sometimes that can be difficult," and I'm like, "Whoa, self-awareness?
Yeah.
What's going on here?" And then yeah, they have a really like actually normal moment where like they're real with each other, and you can see a glimpse of their like past partnership and
Yeah.
like how close they were as partners. And I just wish there was more of that. I
feel-
really like that.
I feel like Night Owl and Rorschach. I think that's like
Yeah.
Rorschach's closest person that he's ever had to a
Yeah.
friend.
You live off people while insulting them, and nobody stands up and tells you about it because they think you're a fucking lunatic.
Yeah, yeah. And then
And then that's when he gets like,
apologizes.
"Oh shit!"
Yeah.
It brings him to his knees. He's like, "Wow, nobody actually talks to me like that."
Mm.
Respect, bro. Or also he obviously knows he's a friend of his, and
Yeah.
he actually cherishes the friendship because
Yeah.
no human being, even if you believe that your humanity is not there, no human being can accept the fact that they don't want to just be or know that they're disliked by somebody that they respect who is
Yeah.
within their boundaries of their
Yeah.
beliefs.
Even if you got zapped and turned into a blue man,
Yep.
like you still feel that way.
While we're on the subject, I want to just fast forward
Yeah.
to the complete end,
Okay.
the demise of Rorschach.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to bring in the fact that because he was going to walk through Antarctica,
Yeah.
right, to leave and tell the world what happened.
No, he wasn't.
He was going to die.
No, he was going to die.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
No, he knew he was walking to his death.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but even though, but he's still, I think he's
He
still
knew-
meant, like, he's still gonna die on his own terms.
Yeah.
This is what I guess what I'm getting at. When you see the fact that he believes that his mask is his face,
Mm.
it is who Rorschach is, but the fact that when he finally looks Dr. Manhattan in the eyes,
Yeah.
takes his mask off, and you see his gritted, destroyed, beat up face,
Yeah.
you know, looking at him crying angrily, showing the fact that, you know, what's one more body amongst its foundations?
Mm-hmm.
And he asks him to kill him. Just do it already. You see that he takes his mask off because he wants to show him that even he has humanity.
Yeah.
And then he probably figured out that amongst all these millions of people dying, he is still Walter Kovacs. He's one of those people. And he wants him to look at his actual face of the people that, you know, another person that you're letting die.
I think that scene is better in the movie than in the graphic novel.
Yeah.
I looked up images of that moment, and it's like a really quick. It's one
Yeah.
page.
Mm-hmm.
It's one page, and like he takes his mask. You see him without his mask in one panel, and then the next panel he just gets zapped.
Yep.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like it in the movie,
Yeah.
it's a lot more emotional because like Night Owl's out there like, yo, what the, you know, like just like seeing his best friend just explode
Yeah.
into like this this
Yeah.
not black,
Puddle of
a red
blood.
puddle. Yeah. In the comics,
Stain.
in the comic, Night Owl and Silk Spectre 2
Go back
like
and-
is go
Oh,
back
are they
inside.
not even? They're okay.
Yeah, they
yeah.
just
No.
go back inside like, well, the world's basically
Yeah,
ending. Let's
and they
get it on.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
While
And then-
Dr. Manhattan,
Yeah.
no, it was Ozymandias walking around,
Yeah, and he's just like
watching them fuck. Yeah.
nice.
When I read that, when I was like 19, I was like, oh, it's a little
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
All right. Meanwhile, you know,
Yeah, no, definitely just the breathing, the cold breath, like the slight pause before, like that scene is really good.
2008 and 2009 was a big year, couple years, or span of 2 years
Yeah.
for Jackie Earle Haley, the guy who played Rorschach.
What else did he do?
He was Freddy Krueger from The Nightmare on Elm Street, which was decent.
Yeah.
And then he was also he was in other stuff, but the one I remember him was in Semi-Pro, a
Okay.
comedy with Will Ferrell.
What's that guy's name?
he played
Jackie Earle Haley.
I think he played a small role in Shutter Island.
Oh, yeah, he played a small role in Shutter Island as well.
I know he played a small role in Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That movie
I think that's the
was-
only other movie that I actually remember.
That movie was
recognizing that.
long.
Yeah, yeah. Very Oscar baity.
Yeah.
And
When you got
yeah.
Daniel
Daniel
Day-Lewis,
Day-Lewis.
it's gonna be Oscar.
It's not
baiting.
so much Oscar baity. It's just like Oscar. Here you go.
just take it already. That'd
you
be
go.
funny. Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Critics say after watching Lincoln, what is it? The New York Times says just take the damn Oscar.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen The Phantom Thread. I know that was like his quote unquote last movie.
That was about the artist or the poet or something. Or
I think it's about some tailor.
Taylor,
He's
the
like a
Taylor.
tailor, and
Okay.
he
I think he looks like he would
threads
play.
things.
He looks like he could play the part for
Mhm.
not Edgar Allan Poe. Jesus,
Who?
the artist,
Oh, the artist.
not the artist, but an
Oh.
artist. One-eared. Holy crap! Why am I
Oh, Van Gogh.
Van Gogh? There we go.
Oh,
Not
okay.
Edgar Allan.
I thought you were
Poe,
talking about the
Van
movie,
Gogh.
The Artist.
No. I think he looks like Van Gogh.
I don't even know what
Maybe
Van
it's
Gogh looks
maybe
like.
it's the red hair.
I don't think we truly will ever know what he looks like because he died before photography.
I mean, he's got the.
I'm sure
he's
he's
the
got.
portrait.
Yeah, he's got. We kind of have an idea of what he looks like.
Well,
He's got.
Truly looks like what I mean.
I mean, I don't,
Even features sometimes.
I don't even know when he died.
I mean, Ed Sheeran play Van Gogh.
Okay. Yeah. Well, except we got Willem Dafoe.
He could play anybody.
Did
Well,
what?
he played Van Gogh.
Oh,
did he?
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't-
Yeah.
Oh wait, is that where the meme is from? Where he's looking up?
He,
Is that from Van
yeah.
Gogh?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I love that meme.
yeah. Yeah, he played Vincent Van Gogh. I think it's recent. I think it's like within the last 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
He's another weird guy.
we we had Deming here. We could talk about it all day.
Yes.
Oh, I think we should. Have we talked about the lighthouse? We have talked about the lighthouse, haven't we?
No. I mean, we
We've-
might have mentioned
We've
it.
mentioned
but
it, and I think I'm the only one that hasn't seen it still.
It's got a little bit of spookiness, a little bit of spook in there.
I find it more funny.
Uh,
The movie's just funny to me.
it's I think I think it's hella funny. I think it's funny. It's also like mad creepy
Mhm.
and like a little bit of mind fucky.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I like Arpats. Arpats has kind of turned into one of my favorite actors.
Don't sleep on our pets. Don't sleep on Kristen Stewart. You have to. Whenever I think of like Robert Pattinson, I also think of Kristen Stewart. I think she gets an inordinate amount of hate.
Well, it's not. No, it's not hate. It's just memes. It was always just memes. No one ever hated her.
Nah,
It was just memes,
come
man.
on,
It's a lot of
no,
hate.
she got plenty of hate.
Hate is memes.
She got plenty of hate.
I think the first movie that she was in was called Speak, from a book.
I think the first movie she was in was. Oh wait, I don't know. Maybe
She's in,
I know the first
Safe
big
Room.
big movie she was in was in Safe Room. I don't know if she did anything before that.
Speak was like 2005, 2004, maybe 3. Speak
Is
was
Safe Room. Is that the title of the movie? I don't think the title of the movie was Safe Room. I think it was. It might have been Safe Room. I don't know.
I know Jodie
Jodie
Foster,
Foster,
Forrest Whitaker,
Yeah.
Jared Leto,
Oh yeah. Jared
Dwight
Leto.
Yoakam.
You're probably right. It probably was Safe Room.
I like that movie.
It is a very
oh
interesting
Panic
movie.
Room.
Panic Room.
That's what
Okay,
it
Safe
is.
Room I think is with
Oh.
Denzel Washington and
Yeah.
2002,
Ryan
definitely probably her first breakout role. I'd say, yeah. I mean, well, her breakout role is definitely Twilight, but yeah.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
what happened to Jodie Foster? She did.
No,
No, she
Oh,
was wasn't she in Avatar? No, that's
Sigourney
that's
Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver. Sorry. I actually don't know. I don't know what
To
Jodie
the
Foster's
internet
in.
again.
Uh,
All I can say is she was definitely in Taxi.
Taxi Driver? You mean?
Taxi Driver, sorry.
Taxi Driver.
Not
yeah.
Taxi with Queen Latifah. And
Yeah. Just like what's the other movie with not Keira Knightley, but Natalie Portman?
Wait, what?
Fuck. What's the movie with Natalie Portman? And the joke is like it's her hottest movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
The Professional.
Oh yeah, Leon the Professional. Yeah,
Oh.
Leon the Professional.
I'm right.
Natalie Portman's hottest movie. Taxi Driver. Jodie Foster's hottest movie.
Because they're both like under 15 years.
Yeah, they're both like 13-year-old and sexualized.
It's so messed up because I remember when I brought that on, put on Cruise Mess and let Darden watch it, and I told everybody, oh yeah, it's Natalie Portman's hottest movie. I was like, oh hell yeah, I love Natalie Portman. And then they find out she's
Who's
like,
this child?
I know she's like 11 or 14 years old. I was like,
Yeah.
oh god,
Right to jail. Right to jail.
I'm already there, buddy. I'm hundreds of feet below the surface.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
You guys have
I'll-
anything else?
Yeah, let's bring it back.
All right, well, let's. We
Yeah.
always said we promised that this movie would be like The Dark Knight, right? And we never explained why.
Wait, what do you mean?
You know how The Dark Knight, and the martyring.
Oh
himself.
yeah. So wait, what? Sorry, go ahead.
You know how you promised earlier? It's like I promised that The Dark Knight and the ending of Dark Knight and the ending of Watchmen are similar.
They correlate.
They correlate.
Yeah, I already said that.
Did we talk about how exactly why?
Yeah, in principle they're the same.
Oh, well, yeah. Yes, in principle, they're the same, but
Yeah.
like we never said that the world was going through the concept of nuclear war between Russia.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
the other
America.
thing. That's the other thing that I think there's a little bit of you do have to stretch your imagination a bit to believe this world, right? Because
It's
you-
underlying.
the movie pigeonholes the world into nuclear holocaust. It's like no other choice except nuclear holocaust. And then Adrian has to make the drastic choice of doing something crazy to prevent nuclear holocaust because like it was definitely going to happen. So like you do have to like stretch your imagination a bit to believe that. Sorry, what was the question?
Never mind. Just watch the movie. It's really, really good.
It's a hell of a good time.
Music's good. A very driving factor is the beginning. A lot of the songs were Bob Dylan songs.
Yeah.
You had The Times They Are Changing, All Along the Watchtower, and Desolation Row,
I think
All Along Watchtower is sung by Jimmy,
but written
by
by
Bobby.
Bobby Dill.
that's
Bobby
true.
Dill Pickle there.
I think this movie
why I say it's
is such a good. If I ever became a filmmaker and I wanted to learn how to do slow-mo right, I would watch this and then I would watch 300 because I think like Zac Snyder's really good with slow-mo. Like he just knows how to fucking nail slow-mo. And I don't think I ever appreciated that as much until I watched this movie last night.
It makes me happy that it's an exciting thing we can all choose and put together.
Mm.
I it's hard to find people who would actually appreciate something, even though it's very far fetched and very not graphic, but just pushy in its imagery.
Yeah.
And then to get people to actually like it because in 2009 it only got 61% or 66%.
Okay, well that's because
It's
the movie
reviews.
is-
They're just reviews. I get that.
well the movie's also very poorly paced. That's the other thing.
I think that's also
Yeah.
just the drawback of a comic book movie in general. The comic is like it's not all over the place, but it's
The comic takes its time, but when you're reading a comic, you don't mind.
yeah,
When you're sitting down and watching a movie, having the comic happen on the movie
yeah,
exactly the way the comic is read,
yes,
your eyes get tired.
Yep.
And so
I
like
that's-
structurally the movie suffers a bit. And like if you're not completely like taken in with the cool style, like if you're like over that,
Mhm.
and if you're not taken in with like the edgy dialogue, if you're also over that, and if then the movie doesn't have much for you.
So, I think
Yeah.
that might be the reason I think it's not the greatest adaptation of a comic book because it relies so closely on the source material and follows it so closely,
Yeah.
but it doesn't follow it to a T up into that 100%. I feel like they should have just loosely based it off the comic and maybe change it up to flow better, to have the better
I agree.
and
Yeah.
I mean, just like literally every other Spider-Man, Batman, it's loosely based off the comics. The Dark Knight Run, the Dark Knight Rises.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Probably just too much good material to leave out.
sequels.
Maybe they.
You
I mean,
gotta-
even sequels. They probably didn't even expect there to be any.
Yeah,
They want to make sequels. There's plenty of other comics they could have made something out of.
At the end of the day, it's hard to please everyone because
That's
like
exactly it.
you cut out things that you feel are necessary to cut out, and then like there'll be comic book fans that just send you hate mail.
Well,
Yeah,
you pleased me, so
Yeah.
check me off that list there.
Hell
I'll have what she's at.
yeah.
All right, so it's your day.
All right,
it
there was a few movies that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
One of the ones I was thinking of, I mean, I'll save for a later date. I won't talk about that one.
All right.
I feel like we've done too many action movies lately. So I'm gonna go for a musical.
All right.
Ooh,
It's called Tick Tick Boom. It's on Netflix.
Oh,
I've been wanting
I've
to watch
heard
it.
of this. I haven't seen it. I've heard of it.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield, Vanessa
Yeah.
Hudgens. It's a Lin-Manuel Miranda movie.
What else did
Yeah.
he do? he
Lin-Mar-
sounds familiar, but I don't. I'm
Well,
not familiar.
Miranda
Did Hamilton?
he's famous for Hamilton.
Oh.
Yeah, that was like his
Okay.
breakout thing, and now he's kind of like
Yeah.
the hot cheese.
All right.
He's taking over
musicals.
Baz Luhrmann's
And-
role here.
A lot of people hate him
Oh.
like him because it's like because he's big in
Oh.
the music business now.
Oh.
So
It's easy to be a hater when it's popular.
yeah, and
Yeah.
well, most of his musicals have like the same type of feel, but I think it's mostly because like
Mhm.
we'll talk about it next podcast.
Sure.
Tick Tick Boom, it is.
Tick
Tick,
Tick
tick,
Boom.
boom.
Andrew Garfield. All right. See you guys later.
I'm probably having an issue situation because I don't have Netflix. You could probably stream it somewhere else though.
Is Tick Tick Boom? Does oh shit?
It's a